I upload daily NBA content, so if that is something that interests you, then subscribe. Also drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and it makes a massive difference. So today I am continuing Hot Takes Tuesday, and that's about it. Let's jump right into the takes. I tried to put more of a focus on off-season stuff and the draft, so yeah. The Knicks need to trade for one of CP3 or Westbrook, even if it doesn't make basketball sense, in order to rebuild their reputation to stars around the league, to get back to being a destination. The trade version of the Lakers taking care of Kobe post-injury and getting LeBron out of it. I'd argue that the Knicks were never really a free agent destination. Like, literally, Amari Stoudemire and Carmelo Anthony are the only free agents that I can think of that really were top tier players that decided they wanted to go to the Knicks. That's it. And I realize that happened in the last 2 decades, but that's not a huge sample size overall for the history of that franchise. And I don't think trading for Russell Westbrook is going to do that. Neither would trading for Chris Paul. Trading for Chris Paul makes basketball sense because I think he'd be a good fit with a lot of the young players on that team like RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson. But Russell Westbrook makes no sense for the fit on that team, and it would just be a gigantic clusterfuck and not a good basketball decision for that team whatsoever. So yeah, the Blazers need to blow it up this season instead of a couple of years from now. Well, it's weird because I kind of wish that they would, just because I want to see Damian Lillard on a new team. However, from the perspective of the Portland Trail Blazers franchise, no way in hell should they be doing this. Now, I would not be just sitting idly by. I would be workshopping deals, trying to get like maybe a CJ for Drew Holiday type of deal to happen, round out the bench, get some more depth, maybe get another really good player somehow. All I'm saying is the Portland Trail Blazers for the past couple of seasons have been really stagnant, and they have not been as aggressive as they should be. However, I don't think they should completely rebuild right now. If you have Damian Lillard, the Blazers are not going to get somebody better than him for a long time, so you might as well try and win with him while you have him. The Bulls should draft LaMelo and trade our 2nd round pick and a future 2nd round pick for the 24th overall pick in the draft and take Desmond Bane. Well, first of all, I don't know if that hypothetical trade, 2 2nd round picks for the 24th pick, I don't even know who has the 24th pick. I don't know if that's even possible, but even if it was, which it probably isn't, Desmond Bane is going to go earlier than that. I imagine he's going to go somewhere between 14 and 22. That would be my guess, because he's gone up in some mock drafts that I've seen. Desmond Bane is a very good 3-and-D player, and this draft does have a lot of good 3-and-D players, but I think he's among the best of them, so he's going to get drafted higher than 24. But I would love the Bulls to draft LaMelo, and I sure as fuck would love them to draft Desmond Bane, because he's probably my favorite prospect out of this draft in terms of who I've just looked at the most. So I would love to see him on the team, similar to how I would have loved to see Devontae Graham or Landry Shamet on the Bulls the past time that I called those guys being good players in the draft late. Toronto should sign and trade Serge Ibaka, making $15 million for 3 years. I'm assuming that's $15 million a year, so 45 in total, to the Warriors in exchange for a 2025 Warriors first or the 2021 Minnesota first. So this is an interesting idea. I honestly, if I'm the Warriors, I might trade down from the 2nd pick, get some guy out of that, and then trade that pick for Serge Ibaka. It depends, because I think Serge Ibaka is pretty much the best center option for the Warriors outside of like a star level center, because he is a very good defensive player and a very good 3-point shooter at the center position, and that's exactly what the Warriors need at that position. He's also a pretty solid rebounder. Like, can't imagine a much better fit than Serge Ibaka on the Golden State Warriors. So to that extent, the Warriors are really that focused on winning now with how weak this year's free agency class is, and LaMelo Ball not meaning much to the Warriors or Anthony Edwards really. I might actually just trade that pick for Serge Ibaka. I know that sounds wild to trade the number 2 pick for just a very good role player, but at the same time, from the Warriors perspective, what much does the 2nd pick in the draft really mean to the Warriors? Like, I've seen this a lot where people are suggesting like teams that are really trying to win now trade for a lottery pick, and it's like, what does like the number 4 pick in the draft mean to like the Houston Rockets or whatever? It doesn't really matter to them. Dinwiddie to the Clippers and Harrell to the Nets. I'm assuming this is a sign and trade. I actually like that idea. The Nets would be getting a scorer that's not a guard. Right now they have 3 scoring guards and then Kevin Durant on top of that, so a lot of perimeter creation and really no inside the paint center creation, and Harrell could fill in that role. And then for the Clippers, getting a point guard in Spencer Dinwiddie who can create offense for himself and others on the perimeter is something that they need, so I do think this is a good trade idea. I like that one. The Bucks don't do anything after Giannis signs the Supermax. I agree. That's why I am with King of the Fourth Quarter on this one, where I do not believe that he should sign a supermax contract, because I think that incentivizes the Bucks to be complacent, and I think it's best for a star player of that caliber to be signing like 1+1 deals every year, so long as that player is not injury prone, so that you can keep the pressure on the front office like, hey, if you really fuck up, I can just leave. So make sure you're doing a good job and you're getting me the help that I need. And that's what I think Giannis should do. I understand that the money incentive there is there, but he's going to make a fuck ton of money regardless. And in my opinion, I think it's in his best interest in terms of his actual contending for championships for him to stick around for shorter term contracts in the case that the Bucks get complacent when he signs a supermax. If he does sign a supermax, I'm going to make a video, probably be titled something like Giannis just made a huge mistake or whatever, but it would be a huge mistake. So Giannis, do not sign the supermax. Thank you for watching my video, by the way, since I'm talking to you directly. Ben Simmons needs another playmaker to score himself. For example, Chris Paul. Ben Simmons statistically is a top 3 cutter, but no one finds him when he is ready to score. I agree. Ben Simmons should be used as a Draymond Green type of player in the half-court offense while letting him be the main ball handler in the full-court offense, and he can still be a pretty routine ball handler within the half-court as Draymond Green is, but I think Draymond is best used as a pick-and-roll guy. Steph finds him on the pick-and-roll, and then Draymond either cuts to the basket or he finds somebody himself on the perimeter. That's something I would see Ben Simmons being phenomenal at, because he's a better passer than Draymond Green, he's a better cutter than Draymond Green, he's more athletic than Draymond Green, ball handler than Draymond Green, finisher than Draymond Green. Basically, he can just be a roided up version of Draymond Green in the half court offensively, and that is very valuable. Problem is, Sixers really don't have any playmakers outside of Ben Simmons, so that's why the idea of trading for Chris Paul has been proposed, because it would allow Ben Simmons to really fulfill his half-court offensive role. It'd be really fulfilled if Joel Embiid was not on the team and instead it was a guy who was spacing the floor, but just in small bursts, and with him being able to find Embiid on like a lob, it would definitely be more impactful than Ben Simmons is currently in half-court offense. So I do think the Sixers should try and get a secondary playmaker. The Toronto Raptors should trade for Bradley Beal or Victor Oladipo. Well, I don't think a Bradley Beal trade is really possible, but I do think a Victor Oladipo one, you could probably get away with just Norman Powell and like another guy to fill in salary for Victor Oladipo straight up, because Norman Powell last season averaged 16 points per game on 62% true shooting. He shot 40% from 3, and towards the end of the season, he was averaging like 20 points per game over like a good handful of games. So I do think Norman Powell actually has potential to be a very, very valuable player. Maybe not quite star level player, but I mean, if he can really up his production and consistently be a 20 points on really good efficiency guy, then yeah, probably a borderline star level player. I think if I'm the Pacers and Victor Oladipo really wants out, I would probably just make that trade straight up. Maybe you could get a first round pick out of it, but more than likely, I think Norman Powell and then salary filler is enough to get you Victor Oladipo, because Norman Powell has a lot of upside. It's really just going to be a matter of if the Pacers believe that his stretch of 20 points per game is legitimate or not. I believe it was, and then even then, overall 16 points on 62% true shooting is a very nice player to have. So I would make that trade if I'm the Pacers, if Victor Oladipo really wants out and these are not just over-exemplified rumors. LaMelo is the same player as Lonzo, but a worse defender. He should not be a top 7 pick. Now, draft stuff is not exactly my forte. I have made that clear very much in the past. I really only choose like one guy in the draft each year that I want to say is going to be a steal. I did that with Graham and Shamet. I am doing that this year with Desmond Bane. But generally speaking, I'm not talking too much about the top prospects. My ideas are only that are copies of other people's ideas. So I have people in the NBA draft world that know stuff about the draft, and I take their opinion as the truth, and that's kind of where I get my ideas from. It's not from extensive film study, so take this with a grain of salt. The one thing that I can confidently say about LaMelo Ball from the not much footage that I've seen, but enough to really take this away, is that LaMelo Ball is a very, very, very confident player. Sometimes to a detriment, which is why he has a shot selection issue, but generally speaking, one of the most confident basketball players I've ever seen. And with that confidence, that's going to be huge between him and Lonzo, because Lonzo Ball has had an issue really ever since he's entered the NBA, of being timid. And even in UCLA, he was not like crazy confident either. He was really just a very good player. In the case of LaMelo, I think that confidence is going to do him wonders on offense, and I do think that LaMelo is a better passer than Lonzo. Again, take some of this with a grain of salt. All I'm saying is LaMelo is most certainly a top 7 pick in this year's draft. There's also reason to believe that he can be a good defensive player in the NBA, because if I recall correctly, Lonzo wasn't really much of a defensive player in college either. It really just started to show itself in the NBA. So yeah, I think LaMelo is going to definitely be worthy of a top 7 pick. Hopefully he falls down to number 4. Aaron Baines will be highly sought after in this year's free agency, especially for a contender. Shout out to Aaron Baines fan club. I completely agree on this one. Aaron Baines is a center who is a pretty damn good defensive player, solid enough rebounding wise, not amazing, and then he is just a 3-point shooter now all of a sudden. Like this year he shot like 35% on I believe like 4 or 5 attempts per game, only playing like 25 minutes. He's a very good role player and probably going to be one of the best backup centers in the league for the next couple of seasons. It's just a matter of what team actually signs him. So I do think Aaron Baines is going to be one of the more highly sought after free agents. This year's free agency is not as deep, or I guess it is kind of deep, but there's not a lot of star talent at the top, but there are going to be a lot of good role players that are going to make a difference with a lot of contending teams, and Aaron Baines can very much be one of those players. If the Warriors signed him, I think he'd be very good for them. That's a guy right there. He could actually be a starter for them. But yeah, that's my reactions to your hot takes. Go follow me over on Twitter if you want to have your hot take included in the next version of this video. I am very close to 10,000 followers, about 470 away, so go follow me over there. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video. His link is going to be in the description. That is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.